Hello and welcome to another episode of the podcast. My name is Joshua Reimer. I'm joined by none other than the man, the myth, the legend, Jared Block. Jared, how are you doing on this fine Tuesday afternoon?
Feel like we're about to step into, well, not even stepping in. We're already on the roller coaster that is the NBA trade deadline week. Seeing a lot of stuff break today. It's a volatile week for sports betting in general. So I told the chat earlier this morning, like, you shouldn't be placing any bets until, like, I don't know, now, for any day of this week. It's just how things are going to be. Guys are going to get traded. Guys are going to get surprised, scratched. In Nurkic's case, surprise reactivated because he was ruled out yesterday and he got ruled back in today after the trade for Jaren Jackson Jr. We'll cover trades during the show. We'll cover them if they break. We'll cover them probably more in depth at the end of the show if we even have time because we are starting a little bit later today. But yeah, it's chaos, man. Just absolute chaos today.
Yeah, definitely a lot of chaos. Definitely a lot of deals that have already gone through. I don't know. I have varying degrees of interest in all of them, so I'm excited to talk about them when we have the chance to. We'll see if we have that chance today. But we still have 10 games that we get to focus on, Jared, and get to break down. So if you're ready, I'm ready. We can get into this thing, start breaking down some of these injuries.
Yeah, I guess where do we start? I think we'll start with the guys that are actually questionable as of right now. And those guys are Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, Chet Holmgren, Hartenstein for the Thunder. We know that Austin Reeves is questionable. I kind of think that's maybe more of the wrong side of questionable potentially. Drew Holiday is questionable. We know that Danny Avdija is already out, so that's why that matters. Andrew Wiggins is questionable. So is Norman Powell, who I think is now doubtful. So things are trending in the wrong direction there. Jalen Green's still questionable. Devin Booker's still out. Christian Brown is questionable. He hasn't played he played limited minutes in the last game that he was in, but still a little untrustworthy situation there. Jalen Williams, another Thunder body, questionable. And Bobby Portis was a downgrade after shoot around, which is never a great sign, especially given the week and the circumstances that his team is under. We had Joel Embiid get ruled out due to rest purposes. We know that, I don't know, a name that I think is actually quite interesting. Draymond Green is potentially in trade talks, and Steph's already out today, so that could get interesting. And then the big debacle here is that obviously Utah had a huge trade today. They also decided that they were going to sit Keontae George and reactivate Yusuf Nurkic, like I said. But the main DFS most injured team award goes to the Indiana Pacers, who sat six guys today, including their entire starting unit plus T.J. McConnell. So frustrations from last night. I don't know if you saw, but Pascal Siakam essentially said he can't run the offense and that
Yep.
he needs Tyrese Halliburton back. So they decided to take the night off against the Jazz.
Yeah, rightfully so. You covered everything. Obviously, a lot more stuff that I'm sure we'll break down as things go along. But definitely a loaded injury slate without a doubt. All right, if you're ready, I'm ready. Let's get into some of these top team totals.
Yep, let's do it. Are we gonna go to? We're gonna go to Miami first, right?
Yes, we are going to Miami first. Let's kick it off there. Heat have a 121.5 implied team total here. 3.5 point favorites are what they opened at. They're now 1.5 point favorites, though. Over under is at 237.5 here. Possibly one of the most dangerous high totals of the day because Miami's involved in almost every trade market, from what I've heard. They're involved in the Ja trade market. They're involved in the Giannis trade market. So things can very easily happen with this team as a whole before it ends up locking tonight. I will say this is a very active Tuesday. Like, you usually don't get things this active a couple days beforehand. I don't
Yeah.
know if we need to completely freak out, like be like, oh my goodness. I'd be more scared if this was Thursday and we were talking about this, but it's still something that we should at least consider. So give me your thought on the Heat as they come into this matchup against the Hawks.
I think another thing to mention in general before we get there is that when looking at the schedule, Wednesday and Thursday, well, Thursday's a bit bigger. It's 8 games. Tomorrow is 7 games. Some of these teams aren't playing again until Friday. So, got to keep that in mind. With that said, I do think that it's tough to really navigate what the Heat bring to the table. I think that just in first glance and after doing the research for this game, I liked some of the Hawks players better. But considering we're talking about the Heat first, you like the game environment. It's a 240.5 game total. It's one of the few that are above 230 today. You also like the fact of where the implied team total is in general. You like the fact that Bam's been extremely consistent from a points angle. He's got 20-plus points in 8 straight games. Larson's been a peripheral rebounds and assists guy. Recently, given the recent injuries, I think this is a really nice spot. And you like the pace for Davion Mitchell's assist category. If Wiggins were to miss, that'd be an obvious Jaime Jaquez jump. From there, like, Atlanta's defense is just good enough to where it's hard to really feel great about targeting specific spots. Like, they're giving up mid-range and restricted area field goals. Kind of fits the Wiggins/Bam territory. Hawkins is a good restricted area scorer. I don't know. Again, like, we have 10 games on the slate, 20 teams, and this is one of the more trade-heavy storyline franchises that's coming into this slate. So I don't know, man. If we get the news that Powell is officially out, which I think we can confirm that it's going to be heading that direction, I do think that is nice for Larson at the very least.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's nice for Larson. I just like this Bam spot, I think. We've seen centers do pretty well against this team ever since they've been missing Onyeka and been missing they've been missing Kristaps for a long time. But since they've been missing Onyeka, I feel like we've seen centers do relatively well against this team, outside of Şengün, who kind of just had a stinker game back at the end of January. Yeah, I like the Bam spot. He's been uber consistent. I like what I've seen from him. So Bam gets the nod of approval on my end. Outside of that, I don't know, kind of iffy. I don't like targeting this Atlanta team all that much. I feel like they're kind of hard to target against.
I agree. And that's kind of what you got when you are. The only reason we're even talking about it in a positive light is because Bam has done well and Norman Powell is doubtful. So if you didn't have one or two of those things, it'd be a much tougher scenario.
For sure. All right. If you're ready, I'm ready. We can move on to this second highest implied team total.
Let's do it.
That belongs to the New York Knicks, who are at 120.5 here. They are 13-point favorites. Over-unders at 227.5. They're a big implied total team because they are such big favorites over the Washington Wizards. It's an away game for New York. Wizards have been really bad on defense, especially in the restricted area. What do you like here?
Yeah, this one I feel a little bit more comfortable with regarding the spot. There's a lot of attackable situations. The problem is that like the guys that are in the good spots have just not been doing well, and that's what you get when you have potentially the best spot on paper for a center in Karl-Anthony Towns. Like the points plus rebounds stuff is absolutely amazing tonight, though he has been on a stinker and he's gone under six straight games under nicely. 24 plus points. Yeah, I mean, it's tough, man. Like if there was one spot where I'd be like, I don't really care what the historics say, this would be the one for Towns. So I will say, in a brighter light, like OG Anunoby is in a really, really good corner 3 spot. There's a few Knicks that are in good corner 3 spots, but the power forward position specifically has done well against Washington recently. I do think you can look at OG Anunoby as probably the top play or player prop on this side when looking at things. As far as other things to look at, you know that Miles McBride is still out. We've seen Tyler Kolek really step up in situations like this, and he has 13 plus PRA in 8 of the last 10, so that's more of a niche player prop if you have access to that. From there, like the most recent guy, I haven't even mentioned Brunson yet, but the guy that's done the best recently scoring has been Josh Hart, 20 plus in 3 straight. I don't know. What are you looking at here? Obviously, you kind of have to have balls of steel to play Cat willingly.
Yeah, as I told members, I think this was on Sunday when they were playing the Lakers, it's like, I will let Cat burn me before I end up playing him on this current stretch. This has to be one of the worst stretches of Cat I've seen in quite some time, where he's just like clearly lost out there. He doesn't look like he's participating in the offense. It's after all this negative criticism has come out about him, where people are saying like he's not really like a game-changing piece anymore. So I don't know. Sometimes that stuff gets to these players' heads. That's kind of the resulting factor, is you see them end up struggling on the court a little bit. Who knows if that's actually the case for Cat, but it's coincidental at the very least. I'm staying away from Cat. I don't really care. I understand the historics look really good. He's done really well against Washington in the past, but this current stretch is tremendously bad. I like the Jalen Brunson spot. I think that's really all I can get behind, though. I'm not really too interested in the Knicks as a whole. I like the corner three spot that you mentioned, but I feel like for a corner three spot to go well, you kind of need the above the break stuff too, and you just don't really have that against this Washington team right now. So I don't know, a lot of iffy stuff here. If you can't tell, I don't really like these top implied team totals now all that much.
Yeah, could you at least get on board with Towns rebounds?
Yeah, I think that's fine if you wanted to go there. If you really wanted to bet on Cat, the rebound spot would be the spot. You could definitely get behind a little bit more.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like dating back to last week, we were really heavy in this matchup. Klingon had a ceiling, Turner had a ceiling, Aiden had a ceiling. Didn't really go well against the Kings, but they're playing three centers at this point now. So
Yeah.
with that said, Towns 22, 20, and 13 boards in the last three games. So if the scoring is not working, the rebounds are.
For sure. All right. Let's move along to this third highest implied team total, which belongs to the Atlanta Hawks. They're at a 120 implied team total here. They're 1.5-point dogs against that Heat team that we mentioned earlier. Over-unders at 237.5 in this game. Give me your thoughts on the Hawks here.
Yeah, I mentioned that I liked them a little bit more than the Heat, and it's not because of injury. We know that Okongwu was out, but Kristaps is available to play in this one. We'll see him play probably, 20 minutes maybe at the most in the spot. You can attack Miami in a variety of ways, and they have a lot of zone scoring open because they run at the fastest pace of play. So you're going to see them give up a lot of above-the-break threes, the fourth most specifically over the last 30 days, the fifth most paint field goals, 10th most restricted area field goals. All that makes sense, and you can find guys that kind of just cruise in every one of those zones. Like Nickeil Alexander-Walker is a really good above-the-break scorer recently. Jalen Johnson is the main guy from the paint. Dyson Daniels and Johnson both contribute from the restricted area as guys that can score 6 to 8 points per game from that zone. So I like a lot from this side, and I think that, while the McCollum stuff with Nah kind of just still gets things a little bit cloudy, and Risache is back, Porzingis is back, I understand that can be scary from a multitude of angles, but I think I am believing in the Jalen Johnson and Dyson Daniels plays today.
Yeah, I don't mind the Jalen Johnson and Dyson Daniels way of looking at things. Nickeil threes, like you mentioned, is also a really good spot. I kind of like the Jalen Johnson RA spot. I mean, he's been really consistent from both of those categories. Points are kind of hit and miss somewhat, though he could do really well scoring here against this Heat team. Yeah, like you said, I think there's more upside on this side overall for the Hawks. But yeah, we mentioned them. It's JJ for me, and it's Na as well. All right, anything else here? If not, you want to cover one more team? You want to move on? What do you want to do?
We should cover one more team.
Take your pick. Jazz or Pistons?
Oh, I don't even like Detroit that much. Let's talk about this Jazz situation, I guess.
Let's talk about the Jazz. They have a 117.5 implied team total. That does not sit right with me, but we'll talk about why in just a second, I guess. 2-point favorites, over-unders at 232.5. They're facing off against this Pacers team that is obviously depleted, to say the least. Basically an all-backup starter squad here. And this Utah team only has 8 guys that they're going to be able to run tonight, or are projected to run tonight. Sorry for the dog barking in the background, but give me your thoughts.
Yeah. Do we have a confirmation that it is 8? I've seen anywhere from 8 to 11. Okay. With that said, yeah, lots of Collier, lots of Ace Bailey, lots of Lauri Markkanen, lots of Yusuf Nurkic. I don't know if I want to trust Cody Williams necessarily, but he does have 10-plus points in 3 of 3 games without George this year. The big one, though, is that Markkanen has had 39-plus PRA in 4 of past 5 without Nurk, though now Nurk's back, so we'll rely on the 2-game sample that Markkanen has played without George this season. He's gone over the 40 PRA market in both of those, and the 9-plus RA in both of those. So I was thrown for a loop not only for the Indiana side, just completely losing everybody, but the fact that Yusuf Nurkic is back just kind of clouds things a little bit more than I'd like because he's in a really good spot, even no matter like if the Pacers starters were playing or not. The center position against Indiana has been great, so I'm kind of leaning into that. I don't really know necessarily how much more I like than that, but you can look at Collier from an RA angle, rebounds plus assists. He's done that in 3 of 3 games at the 12 number without George this year. So when it comes down to it, like that's the spot I feel best about is like the Collier rebounds and assist stuff. I also like Markkanen from a certain angle, though his market's going to be sky high. How do you break down what's going on here, and can we trust Nurkic for like 30 plus minutes?
I have no clue. I'm going to be 100% honest with you.
Because
And trying to guess it on like a slate like this feels like it's almost not worth it, right? Like it doesn't really feel like you don't care all that much about Nurk playing that many minutes. What you do care about is just like staying away from the situation, right? So like you're not attacking Nurk, you're not attacking Filipowski off the bench. What I'm really more interested in is this Isaiah Collier spot. And I like the RA angle, but I also like the PRA angle because he's been such a restricted area and paint scorer overall. And that's where this Pacers defense really struggles. I think you also have to like judge to a certain stance, like how much do you trust in these DVP numbers, these zone scoring numbers that Indiana puts up, considering this is a full squad of backups. There's no one from the normal lineup. No one that normally plays 30 plus minutes is playing tonight. So like it just feels like you can kind of throw everything out the window. What you're focused on is high usage for this Utah team and guys that you know are going to play a boatload of minutes. And I know Isaiah Collier is going to have to play a boatload of minutes. They really don't have anyone else to take over this point role for them. Like I guess if you wanted to put Ace into that role, you could, but like it won't work out all that well. So like I know Isaiah Collier has to play 40 minutes of floor general here, and because of that, I love the spot for him. Other guys are kind of guys you can substitute, right? Like I think Laurie, they'll play him as much as they want to, but like you can get him off the floor for someone else. Same thing goes for Yusuf. You can get him off the floor for Kyle Filipowski. You can get Ace or Cody off the floor for Svi Mykhailiuk or for Bryce Sensabaugh. Like everyone else is you can kind of mix and match. The Ace or the Isaiah Collier spot just feels so solid here. So really like Isaiah Collier. Everything else feels really wishy-washy. If I'm going to rely on anyone else, it will be Laurie. But like you said, his markets are sky high right now. I don't even know if that's really like a good take to rely on that. I think the Isaiah Collier spot's really, really solid.
Walter Clayton, obviously, a part of the trade for Jaren Jackson. We'll talk about that a little bit later. That feels like that one I wasn't so happy about, but that probably made the trade work.
I hope he gets good minutes with Memphis. This isn't after the podcast thought. But
Vince Williams is also in the deal, so
I really like Walter Clayton as a player, and I hope he gets good minutes with Memphis. Anyway, anything else for Utah that you like here? I guess this is a throwback to DFS days where it's like Isaiah Collier. A lot of these Jazz players would be like really good plays, but Isaiah Collier would be like my number one lock most likely.
Yeah, 37, 30, and 30 minutes for Collier in games that George missed this year, and those are all from this past month. So
yeah,
really strong stuff there. Yeah, the DFS slate is essentially the Utah Indy game. It's kind of what it is today. And you can mix and match from, FanDuel's got the only like 2/3 of the slate up, so you can mix and match elsewhere. Chicago's probably a place that you look. If you're playing in that format, we have to break news, and it is important news because it was something we thought might happen, and it did. And we have the news that Andrew Wiggins of Miami is out today, and I think that's listed as a hamstring, but I think it's for something else.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked either way. Probably at this point, if not a trade is imminent, they're keeping him well rested for a trade, right? Like you don't want to put someone out there and them get injured and potentially ruin the trade market for that guy. So, definitely interesting from Miami. What does that do for you for Miami as a whole? Does that make a difference all that much for you?
I like the Jaquez spot. I was curious, and so we should kind of throw some like maybe not throw it away, but at least put a grain of salt on the fact that they played 3 games in 4 days or 3 games in 5 days against the Bulls recently, and some of those games were really weird. A lot of guys were like flip flopping, sitting in and out of those contests. So I don't think that he like the 19 minutes is weird. I'll get your thoughts on that because it happened on Sunday. Do you have any like notes from that game? I don't know how that went 'cause I didn't pay attention.
I do not. I did not watch the game, to be completely honest with you.
Look,
Yeah, let's take a gander real quick. Uh,
massive blowout. So
oh,
the
yeah.
Heat won by 40, and that's why we saw Hawkes play 19 minutes. Adebayo played 22 minutes as well. So yeah, I think this is a really nice spot for Jaime Jaquez to potentially join the starting lineup if Powell sits as well. I already talked about Pele Larson. Could see maybe even Fontecchio get a starting nod potentially. And I think Jovic is available to play today too. So they got guys that can fill in this spot. But yeah, it does make things at least a little bit more enticing from liking Miami just a teeny bit more now that Wiggins is out and that we should also see Norman Powell foul.
Yeah, for sure. Powell's doubtful. I'm kind of just banking on him being out at this point. With Powell, Wiggins, Hero, and Rozier off the floor this season, the per 36 minute stats show Bam is the top scorer, though him, Ware, Hawkes, and Fontecchio are all averaging 20 points per 36 minutes. Bam's averaging 11.8 rebounds per 36. Ware's the leader, though, at 13.5 rebounds per 36. And none of them are passing the ball all that much. So at least something to note. Davion Mitchell's top assister there. All right. Anything else here? If not, let's move on to top shooters.
We can move on.
Let's move right along to top shooters, Jared. And I'll let you take the floor. Where do you want to go with this one?
Yeah, it's hard for me to not start here. I do think that you could name him at pretty much any given point, and I guess I'll bring up another thing here to kind of get your thoughts on this because this is your team. I don't know how you say that this segment doesn't start with Luka Doncic, who has hit 29 plus in 7 straight, and he's got a bunch of high 30s in here, a 46 in here. He had a game against the Wizards where I said wasn't all that interested in him, and then he had a triple-double in the first half.
First quarter,
with 73.
didn't he?
First quarter, I think it was close. Whatever
Yeah.
it was, I think it was like 14 minutes of play for him. So, yeah, I mean, the guy can put up 70 fantasy points at any given moment. I think the one thing I want to know today, and he was the taco, I like the three-point spot. I like the whole scoring spot in general. The assist spots, nails too. I'm sure we'll cover that later in the show and roundtable. I guess the question for me is, like, do you just blindly play this and just don't care if Austin Reeves plays or not?
Yeah, I think so. I think if Austin Reeves, well, let me rephrase that. I'm waiting to find out if Austin Reeves plays or not because I think you're getting it priced as if Reeves doesn't play, and I think you'd see everything come down a touch if Reeves does end up playing. But I like the spot regardless. I shared with you a stat. When Luka is away and the Lakers win, they're 8.5-point favorites right now, by the way. He has had 50-plus PRA in 77% of games this season, Jared. Yeah. He has been a monster. And some of these other games, like one was against Phoenix, 2 were against the Pelicans, that's very easily attributed to defense, right? Against Phoenix, that's a tough defensive matchup. Phoenix overall is a tough defensive matchup. And against the Pelicans, it's Herb Jones twice, most likely. I don't know for sure, but I'm assuming at least. Yeah, he's dominated in these away games this season, and especially when the team ends up winning, it's usually because he did pretty damn well. Yeah, I'm trusting in the Luka spot. I personally will wait until I find out if Reeves is playing or not. But regardless, I like the spot. If I find out Reeves plays and I still play the spot, it's just I get lower lines most likely.
Yep, 100%. Who do you have on the list for top shooters? Because it starts here, and some of these guys like just aren't on the card. So where do you go from here?
Yeah, the guy that I was going to mention was going to be Desmond Bain here. Now, I know the matchup is very tough against OKC, don't get me wrong, but he's kind of their, well, first of all, let's just say 19 plus points in 6 straight, really solid. We've seen 20 plus in 3 straight. We've seen 25 plus in back-to-back games, something that we haven't seen a lot from him this year. So the scoring looks like it's starting to pick up a little bit for him, which is really nice. Now back to the OKC thought. The OKC's struggles are really only on corner threes and above the break threes, and that's kind of just been Bane's category for this team. He's really their only above the break three shooter right now, and he at least contributes on corners threes. I think he's going to have to ramp it up. I think over the last 7 games, he's taking something like 5 above the break threes per game, but he's making almost 50% of them, which is really impressive. Think he's going to have to up that today. Think he's going to be taking a few more. Hopefully that helps him end up getting there. Paulo's game is just going to be kind of smothered in this one because this Thunder team is doing a really good job of restricting paint scoring, and that's kind of what Paulo relies upon. So if Paulo's going to be kind of restrained from scoring here, I think Bane picks it up, makes it just a better spot on top of the consistent scoring we've seen from him recently.
Yeah, I looked at this earlier. It did make the trends list, and it stood out because I looked to see if that was like a full PRA thing or if that was just a point scoring thing. And I think it's just mainly like the dude's just taking like 15 plus shots a game.
Yeah,
And that's just something that we haven't seen from him on this team.
for sure. Okay, where do you want to go?
Look through my list. The only guy that I could really feel like I could bring up here, I'll give like, you know, secondary thoughts to Jalen Duren potentially. Bam, we already mentioned here. Who else? Dosunmu can do well tonight. Ryan Rounds has done well without Giannis and KPJ. But the guy that does make sense to talk about is Michael Porter Jr., who we can go here, I guess, at some point, but like potential all-star snub, I think, at least on the table. He has scored 30 plus in 3 of the past 4. Obviously went bananas against Denver, and that's a big contribution to this point. Does have himself a nice 3-point spot from above the break tonight, so I do like that, and we do know that the Lakers' main struggles have been against scoring wings this year.
Yep, for sure. Um, Yeah, I don't have too much else. Like, I guess I could bring up a few other guys. Like, I was thinking about bringing up this Dillon Brooks spot. He's had 23 plus points in 4 out of the last 5 games. He got extremely close against the Clippers, where he had 22 points. I'm not sure if I love the matchup against Portland. Like, I know it's called hottest shooters, so we should just be focusing on the hottest shooters. But I think you and I both try to highlight spots that are in good matchups as well. And I don't feel like Dillon Brooks necessarily fits that category. Yeah, Na is another guy that's really close. He does have a good matchup though, so I guess Nikhil Alexander Walker. He's had 19 plus points in 4 out of the last 5. CJ McCollum has had 18 points in 4 out of the last 5. What else do you got here, if anything?
Uh, a son that I do like is Gillespie. He has 3 threes and 5 straight without Booker, though that is, again, dependent on matchup and Jalen Green playing. So, yeah, lots of stuff. Like today was a day that I focused less on scoring trends and more on peripheral stats. You didn't see very many guys really stringing it together, and the guys that did are either out or traded or etc.
For sure. All right. Anything else here? If not, we'll get to round table.
You can move on.
Let's move on to round table. For those who don't know how it works, Jared and I both bring some top plays at different statistical categories to talk about at the table. Those statistical categories are points, rebounds, and assists. Jared, I'll let you go first. Where do you want to go for points?
It's going to be really hard not to focus on the Utah Indy game. Lots of green everywhere for every category. So we'll do our best to kind of work our way around that one. But I do think this is a really good. I'll say this with a grain of salt. This is going to be a really good scoring spot for both Bobby Portis and Miles Turner. And you obviously have the no Giannis, no KPJ. I slightly worry about Bobby Portis' injury / trade stuff on the table. He would be a guy that would certainly be shopped in something like this. So I do love the matchup against Chicago. Not only do we have the best scoring matchup for power forwards over the last 7 games, Chicago's just been the worst team against power forwards all year, and it's a revenge narrative for Portis. So, and it's a revenge narrative that is obviously very old, but still reigns extremely relevant and true. So, like the Portis stuff, I think that Miles Turner has been, it's kind of weird to say, but like he's actually been really consistent now that Giannis is gone.
Yeah.
That sucks to say that, but he's just been really, really bad with Giannis on the floor and really good with him off the floor. It's a good scoring spot for him too.
Yeah, certainly a good spot for Miles Turner.
Who plays center? Sorry, who plays center for Chicago tonight?
I think it's either Jalen Smith or Patrick Williams. They did Patrick Williams because they were without Vooch on, I forget what day it was. It was Sunday over the weekend that they were without Vooch, and they went Patrick Williams at center. Those were some terrible minutes, but Williams actually didn't do too shabby, to be honest with you, shockingly. But yeah, we're gonna have to wait and see. I see projected right now it's Jalen Smith, though Smith is questionable, so we'll see. Okay, my guy is someone that you brought up, and I was already planning to bring this guy up, regardless if we brought him up in the last segment, but I don't know how you don't just auto default to Michael Porter when it comes to points today. This is a amazing type matchup where his two main scoring spots are above the break threes and a restricted area. Those are two spots that the Lakers massively struggle in. Like you already said, Lakers have struggled against small forwards all year long. That's Michael Porter's position. Porter's well rested too. Brooklyn's had 4 days off because of some travel stuff. So with them being well rested, coming back into Brooklyn, I love this MPJ spot. Also, Michael Porter's last 2 games, he scored 38 points and 36 points, Jared. He is on a heater right now. And this is an amazing spot. So give me all the MPJ today.
He also has a spot where the points obviously are off the charts. We don't do a 3-point segment for this roundtable segment, but it is the best on the slate today for the position. Second most threes to the wing over the last 7 games.
For sure. All right. Where else do you want to go? Or sorry, excuse me, not where else do you want to go? What do you want to do for rebounds today?
I think where I'd like to go is just stick with, I know we're kind of wishy-washy on the scoring stuff for Cap, but I think this is a really good rebounding spot. I'll believe in this one. I'm not as so much out there. This is not a rebounds plus assists play anymore, like it was a week and a half ago. This is mainly a pure rebounding spot, and it is one of the best rebounding spots on the card. 4th most rebounds to centers over the past 7 games, most on the season to centers. So, yeah, we'll run Cap for that part.
Yeah, can certainly get behind that. I'm going to go to a late night game here. A game that we haven't talked much about is this Warriors and 76ers game. Give me Drummond, man. No Embiid. I think Drummond's going to get the majority of the minutes. This is a Warriors team that is struggling massively from a rebounding angle. And if Draymond ends up leaving, you going to trust old man Al to end up rebounding well against a physical rebounder like Andre Drummond? I just don't think it ends up happening. So I really like the Drummond spot, regardless of if Draymond is in or out. I think Draymond should have a really good spot on the boards tonight. All right, assist. Where do you want to go?
Man, that Philly Golden State game is straight cheeks. It's so bad.
Yeah, it's real bad. It could have been really good. I mean, you have all the starters. That's a really fun game. Now it's just terrible. Okay, assist. Where do you want to go?
I'll go with the main one and then throw another one out there because I don't know if we can trust minutes for that. But we'll go with Ryan Rollins. The Bulls are allowing the most assists to both guard positions over their past 7 games, and this is going to be a pace-up spot for the Bucks. I think that if you want to, you're the one that researched the game and gave the stat out of the per 36 and the usage bump without all those guys. So if you want to say that to close this, you can. Actually, go ahead and do that when you're ready.
When I'm ready, you got plenty of time because I got to pull it up. So
we'll go back to Rollins in a moment. I will say the spot that I want to look at and focus on would have been Jokic's assists, but I don't know how many minutes we can actually trust him for right now. He's still going to be on this minute limit that he's been on, and the main thing here is that we do know that Detroit's just giving up a ton of assists recently to the center position, 3rd most in the NBA. I'll look to see if that's recent matchups or if that's just just something like a hole that they're currently trying to fix because on the year they just are not giving up assists to any position at all. So I think Jokic does profile well, though the minutes limit is rather scary to me.
Yeah, for sure. Just that usage bump with Giannis, Harris, KP, and Torian Prince off the court. Ryan Rollins is by far the biggest benefactor. He gets a 10% usage bump and is at 31% usage overall. Absolutely insane stuff from him. Okay, for my assist play, I am going to go to this. I was thinking Rollins, so I got to kind of pivot here and find someone else that I like. We'll go to Davion Mitchell. Look, I think it just comes down to the fact that this team is getting pretty injured right now. Mitchell's kind of main role is to assist, and he should do a good job of it in this high-paced matchup. So we'll go with Davion Mitchell assist. I could possibly get behind. I wanted to see like what his assist numbers looked like recently, just because you're the one who researched the game, not me. Oh, they don't look great. I was gonna say the Igor Demon spot looked really good too, but he just is not that prolific of a passer, to be honest with you. So
No,
not going to rely on it. Instead, like we said, just Davion Mitchell, solid spot. Okay, anything else you want to mention here? If not, we can move right along. Oh, and Isaiah Collier too. That's the other one that I was going to mention.
Yeah.
We talked about him a bunch though, so I don't feel like I need to go too in depth.
I will just say, like, yes, Jokic has a minutes limit, but I don't know how much of a limit it is. This is a really, like, he played 24 minutes in the first game. That makes sense. He jumped up to 29 minutes against OKC. That was a significant jump that I didn't expect over the weekend. And now you're playing arguably one of the best teams in the NBA on their home floor. Like, I think that Denver's got to. I think Jokic can play 30 minutes tonight, and if that's the case, then yeah, I can buy into the assist stuff. I think that's it. I wanted to mention in support of that, like who Detroit's been facing recently. They faced Brooklyn, Golden State, Phoenix. Joker didn't play in the Denver game. The Kings, these aren't like prolific center assist plays by any means. So the fact that they're giving up the third most is kind of a problem.
Yeah, definitely a problem for sure. All right, if you're ready, I'm ready. We can head over to Two Minds Are Better Than One.
Yep, let's move on.
Let's do it. For those who don't know how it works, Jared and I go back and forth, each of us selecting 2 player props each. We put those player props into a parlay with our goals to have the parlay's odds be around plus 100 to plus 150. We do it over on DraftKings Sportsbook, but you can do it wherever you'd like. Jared, I'll let you go first. Where do you want to go?
How much do we trust in SGA playing today?
I don't know. I love the spot though. I already called it flag plant. For those who haven't read the rundown, I already called it flag plant worthy in the rundown. So like, he's not going to end up being my flag plant, but it's a really good spot.
Do we trust Kobe White and Dosunmu to play full minutes? Because that's the other question too.
I don't think you can trust either one of them to play full minutes with the report that came out.
Yeah,
right?
I agree. Yeah.
Even if it is just Legion hoops, it still doesn't feel like a spot you should rely on.
These are some of the best spots on the paper too, which does suck.
I know.
With that said, we'll probably have to overlap on some stuff, but I do think that
I am. So don't feel bad about it.
I think we just play cat boards to where it makes sense. Like he has the ability to get 20 in these matchups.
For sure, completely agree with you. Let's go with 10 plus. That's at minus 508. Definitely good odds of it happening. Like I said, I'm repeating some of the plays that I already talked about, so I have no problem with it. We're going to go with Isaiah Collier first. 25 plus PRA for Collier.
All right, we'll go to Luka. You don't have to play PRA, but we can just look at PA if you can do that. Mm-hmm. It's easily like I think a top 4 play on this card, and it's even better that LA's on the road, and we've seen the success with him playing on the road in situations where they've won games. So it's also kind of like a tricky spread too, aren't they like 7-point favorites?
Yeah,
so
8.5. 8.5 is what I see right now. I don't know where.
Okay, so I think it might have opened at 7, but.
No, it opened at 9.5. It's at 7.5 now.
Oh, that's fun, right?
Yeah, it's definitely fun.
I think it's a tricky spread, and in the event the game stays close, think that that's just Luka going for 40 and 15.
Yeah, for sure. You want to go 40 PRA? Or no, you said points plus assist, right?
Yeah, and rebounds aren't necessary here.
Okay, points plus assist. Let's go over. Do you want? Let's go with 30 plus, just because it ends up working out well for our overall stuff. And then I'm going with Michael Porter for 18 plus points. I already mentioned the Porter spot. Really like it a lot. So altogether, we have Michael Porter for 18 plus points, Luka for 30 plus points plus assist, Isaiah Collier for 25 plus PRA, and Karl Anthony Towns for 10 plus rebounds. Altogether gets us to plus 114, Jared. Not too shabby. All right, let's get out of here. Give your final thoughts. What do the people need to know?
Yeah, like you mentioned at the top of the show, we have a spot where things are getting a little bit more dicey earlier than expected. I didn't really so with the new contract rules going into effect and how teams are approaching that, we didn't expect a huge trade deadline necessarily. This is more of like an off-season type of situation, but it did feel like we just needed one domino to go, and that was that Jaren Jackson trade. So several things have started to kick in motion as fewer guys become available, and I do think that we're going to start to see things accelerate rather than, the 90 minutes before the trade deadline on Thursday. So I still think it'll be rather quiet. You might see some big chess moves, but I do think that like anything that what has happened today that has really changed the landscape of the postseason. I don't know. I think just like the Minnesota stuff, right? So, in regards to today's slate, it is hectic. We still have a lot of questionable tags. A lot of OKC tags are up in the air still. We know that Drew Holiday is a questionable tag. Austin Reeves still is a questionable tag as well. Bobby Portis, another questionable. That's interesting. Man, yeah, it's a loaded slate, and I think it's only going to get more chaotic as we go along here.
Yeah, for sure. Like Jared said, I wouldn't expect I don't know. I'm gonna say I wouldn't expect too much more of trade news, and then something massive's gonna break in the next 90 minutes, and I'm gonna look like an idiot. So I'll just say be wary of trade stuff. I think everyone knows the potential trades that are out there. Expect Miami to potentially be making a move. Trying to think of Minnesota's another team that's going to make a move at some point, I think. I would imagine that the rest of the stuff is smaller stuff, though, like the Kobe White moves, the Ayo Dosunmu move. Maybe you see some smaller stuff here and there. Maybe the Pelicans get involved somewhere, but I think most likely we don't see Giannis moved. At least that's the rumblings I heard all morning, is that Giannis stuff looks like it's going to get pushed this summer, if anything. And some other stuff looks like it's just going to go to buyout market stuff. So, yeah, we'll end up seeing. Definitely fun to get a little bit of injury, get a taste of trade news at least. But yeah, good slate. Really good slate overall. I think there's a lot of spots to take advantage of that I think are pretty exciting. Okay, anything else, Jared? If not, we can go to post. If you want to talk about a few trades, we can. Winners, losers, maybe. But maybe we can just save that for Wednesday or Friday, I guess, is when the next time we'll podcast after the trade deadline.
Probably do it on Friday, end the week with that, because we'll have more. Because I don't really know how we could see Jaren Jackson Jr. be the biggest piece moved this entire week, and I wouldn't be shocked about that. I think that I said this earlier, and it doesn't really this probably moves Utah into the play-in. If everything goes right, they still have tremendously bad injury history, though it's clouded with the fact that how motivated have they been to play 75 games with the starting group. So you have, in my opinion, the best starting group on paper, as long as they're healthy, since Donovan Mitchell was there. And I think that is a step in the right direction, makes Utah fans happy. I think Memphis is in complete blow-it-up mode. And I also said, now that they have the draft capital that they do and some of these young players, I think that they're right in the mix for Giannis in the offseason. That's where I think that this goes, and they could get – I don't know if they can do this, but if they found a way to get Donovan Mitchell and Giannis together and ship out Ja, that's interesting, right?
Yeah, very. At the very least, interesting. Yeah, I'm excited about Utah, man. Talk about a feel good team that's like been down in the dumps for the last few years, refused to trade off their top asset in Lauri Markkanen, even though everyone in the world was like they're going to trade him to the Pistons, they're going to trade Lauri somewhere, and no, they stayed pat and instead invest into a winning team, and good things happen from it. We're seeing Keontae George develop into a really good piece. Yeah, I like the trade for them. I know people are kind of all over the place about it, but I think it's a smart move. So I don't know. Like you said, we'll talk more about trade reactions later on in the week. Any other thoughts? Anything else you want to talk about? If not, let's get out of here, man.
Yeah, I want to like not anybody cares about baseball right now, but we saw a three-team trade that was headlined by Brendan Donovan going to Seattle.
Oh yeah,
And I think that is tremendously fun to talk about because that lineup is absolutely juiced. Yeah, Seattle, you're just running it back. Like, I think you kind of just have to view it that way, right? Like Brendan Donovan, where does he slot in? Does he take over? Where would you put him in this current lineup?
doesn't he just take over the Polanco spot now? Or am I
You'd
wrong?
think so, right? I think that he just goes straight into that, and you give him the leadoff spot, right?
Yeah, I think so. Wanted to see a projected lineup before I just talked out of my ass because I'm a little bit behind on catching up on my MLB stuff right now.
That's where I saw he was projected to lead off, potentially.
Yeah, that would make sense. I'm excited about Seattle. Like as a non-biased Yankee fan that's very scared of the Seattle team as well. Like you talk about putting Brendan Donovan in, you talk about maybe the rotation can stay healthy. You talk about Gilbert playing Cy Young ball. You talk about Brian Wu at the end of the year was playing really well. He has like Cy Young ball in him. You get really excited about what they can do as a whole. It's just a question of that a rotation staying healthy because I mean at the end of the day it's one of the best rotations in baseball, and then they have a whole bunch of still really competent prospects as well too that once they get called up only going to make this team more dangerous.
Something else that happened on Sunday was that Eugenio Suarez went back to Cincinnati. For those who don't remember that, he was basically there for half of his career before he started to go and jump teams, contenders. So he is right in the heart of this lineup. You should see him bat cleanup, and it's really, really what I think is most important about the Suarez stuff is that number one, he should rake in this ballpark, and number two, he gives Ellie De La Cruz the security of, and that's just something Ellie just has not had at the major league level, right? Like there's been no competent bat that you're super scared of consistently. Like we've seen Marte be that guy. We've seen, Steer at points, McLean at points. But like if you're going to get 160 games of Suarez, I think that should just send Ellie's just overall ceiling way, way higher.
Yeah, completely agree there. Really like the move. He mashes in this park. I think the last time he hit in this park, he had 40 plus home runs, or at least 30 plus. I don't remember the exact number, but
what sent him to Arizona, right? That was the reason.
Yeah, exactly. So has a lot of upside. Arrangement that I see for the Seattle lineup has Brendan at the 5 after Naylor. That seems silly and gross. I think your idea makes a lot more sense. So I guess it just depends on where you want Cal, and if you want him switch hitting behind to lefty, I don't know. You can go back and forth there all day long.
I think we just got breaking news that Norm Powell's out. So, yeah, the Miami stuff, it has looked better since when we started the podcast.
Oh my gosh, when we started talking about stuff, Micah Potter got ruled out, and I totally thought it said Michael Porter, and I got so scared. I was so freaked out. Luckily, that's not the case. Okay, anything else here? If not, let's get out of here, man.
No? Well, I guess the final thing we should say is like we both should come up with a number in our head about how many games Utah wins next year, and we come back to this and we talk about it.
I bet Utah.
They're 15 and 35 right now, and they have been like a low 20-win team for the last 4 years. So I think that we should, on the count of three, state what we think their number is going to be.
Okay.
Next year.
All right, go ahead. Count us down.
3, 2, 1, 36.
53. What?
Wow.
What?
You're thinking
Utah?
team?
We're talking about Utah here?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Once they're fully healthy and they have like,
okay.
I love Kessler, JJJ, and Laurie Markkinen playing 3, 4, and 5. How many wins did they have in total last year? I thought you just said
I
they were
don't
a
know.
40-win team.
No, I
They
think
were
that
not.
they're like a top, like a
17
high
win
20
team.
win team.
Yeah, they were a 17-win team. I don't know why I thought they had 40 wins last year. Yeah, I think they can be a 50-win team. I mean, a 50-win team essentially gets you to the 6 seed, the 5 seed, excuse me. And you think about it, Clippers fall off. I think a bunch of these teams could end up falling off at the end of the day. Warriors fall off. Kings, I don't think are up there anymore. I don't think Mavs will be up here. I don't think Grizzlies will be up here. Like, I think Utah has a really good chance to be a 50-win team if things go. And I think Keontae George is like one of the most talented young guards in the NBA right now. Like, I love what they do with Keontae George. So I don't know. I think it becomes a more promising spot to come to as a free agent as well. I don't think they can do a lot, but I mean, even like a mid-level exception could help them out here and there. I'm excited about what they do next year.
I would like to be optimistic. I think we share the optimism. I just think maybe this is more of like a high play-in team than it is a top 5 seed team.
I just think I think this trade is a massive fail if they're a 30-win team next year. You don't give up your first round pick to
Absolutely.
be a 30-win team.
Absolutely.
And not only that, Memphis would have a massive win. Like Memphis would. It kind of just depends on what happens there, but like, man, Memphis would be licking their chops if they end up getting 30 wins next year. I don't know. It'll be exciting. We'll come back and find out next year, hopefully, if either one of us can remember this. All right. You got anything else? If not, let's get out of here, man.
I have one more thing, and then we will finalize NBA content for everybody. I just saw a post. I don't think I need to really give out who this is, but this account ranked, because the other part of the news that is still currently circulating is that James Harden requested a trade. From
I
the
saw
Clippers.
this. I know what you're about to bring up.
And there's an account that posted Harden exits ranked by top 5 because it's happened this many times. So number 5, which is the lowest one, trade from OKC to Houston, obviously first team trade. 4 was Kyrie not taking the vax, and he didn't get an extension, so that ranks there. Number 3, asking out when the Clippers won 16 of their last 20 games, which was this one. Number 2, telling Chinese kids that Daryl Morey is a liar. It's number 2. And number 1 is Fat Suit Harden. And for those of you who don't remember that, it was up there, like further than the Luka being overweight thing.
Yeah, that was. I saw something where it was like, what are the chances that Harden asked out, or what really happened was the Clippers agreed to the Garland Harden trade, but asked Harden to give up his 15% trade kicker that he has on his contract right now, and Harden said, "Hell no, I'm not doing that." And then this all debacle happened where everything started leaking, and now Harden wants out because of that happening. I think I'm also just like a Clippers hater, so I'm always going to think poorly of their management and everything. But like, I think it's more likely that something like that happened than him asking out when they have been a winning team recently. I don't know. It feels really, the whole thing feels shady probably. But they need him to waive his 15% kicker, because if he doesn't, then Cleveland's on the hook for it, and Cleveland goes over the second apron, and that they can't do that, obviously, or they're trying not to. So, yeah, a whole bunch of fun stuff happening with that Harden trade. Really interesting. That we'll see if they end up getting a deal done or not. I hope they do, because I think that'd be really fun. But all right, truly now. Anything else? If not, we'll get out of here.
Nope, we're all set.
All right, let's get out of here. Thank y'all for listening. As always, my name is Joshua Reimer, and we will see y'all tomorrow.